Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. I'm recording this video specifically for people who have a voice, those who have followers, those who have grounds in different social media platforms, and more specifically, those who have religious background and they're using those backgrounds, especially to share videos, share their comments, their opinions about things. It is your responsibility to stand firmly against the war in Ukraine. You have no valid reason to justify the war. Do not confuse politics and religion. God tells us, at least I'm speaking to those who claim to be Muslims, God tells us it is forbidden for us to kill an innocent soul. Now, when you do that, and as you're doing that, you also have to remind the world about other wars that are taking place around the world, that our government leaders and our media outlets and the agencies and the journalists that failed and on purpose failed to cover those tragedies equally as they're doing in Ukraine. Remind people about the occupation of Palestine. Remind them about the ongoing war in Yemen. Remind them about the ongoing war in Syria and other countries around the world. But you have no right to justify the war in Ukraine and say, well, they deserve it, and they have to taste the pain of those who are not heard around the world. You're doing exactly the same thing, just like our leaders. And I have to make it clear, this is not a political stand. This is a humanitarian stand. But unfortunately, many of us, we get confused to the point where we feel whenever we decide to speak on behalf of others who don't have a voice, then we are making a political stand. We are making a humanitarian stand before anything. I don't care about Putin. I don't care about Zelensky. I don't care about Biden. I care about the civilians who are losing their lives on a daily basis. I care about the civilians who are literally watching their loved ones die. I'm even talking about the soldiers who are being forced to go into war, who otherwise would never want to go into war, and they're losing their lives. Those are the ones that I'm talking on behalf, and this is merely on a humanitarian basis. And even more, even if I'm going to use my religion, actually I have an obligation to speak on their behalf. And so do you. But I'm very surprised and shocked and amazed by the number of people who use their platform for religious preaching, and then at the same time, they justify the killing of Ukrainians, they justify the invasion of Ukraine on political grounds. And here's the interesting part, and I say this to these people, these are the same. If you talk about Russia and you try to justify the invasion of Ukraine, Russia is the same government with a different name that actually invaded other Muslim countries. If you're talking about the United States standing with Ukraine, the United States is the same country that allowed for people to go to Afghanistan and fight, because the fight is against Russia. It's not necessarily who they're helping, it's who they're helping against. The West, the same thing. And these are the same people that, tomorrow they'll be sitting at the same table, sipping tea, drinking their tea and coffee and laughing after they have sent thousands and thousands of people to their death. So these politicians, they're playing this game, and I'm just amazed by how we haven't learned the lesson. And we continue to support them, even though we know that their face today is different than their face tomorrow. So please just wake up and make sure that you're not supporting any wrongdoing. The invasion of Ukraine is wrong. The invasion of any country is wrong. The killing of innocent people is wrong, and you should not justify it. You should not align yourself with a person. You have to align yourself with the morals. And if you don't have a moral compass, that's where you find yourself going back and forth between individuals. And I'm not even going to name all the presidents who have switched sides. And it's interesting enough that you support specific individual, that even when they do exactly the opposite thing that they were doing yesterday, you still support them and you try to justify it. And that's exactly what's happening around the world. We as humans, we have to stand up and support that which is right. and speak against that which is wrong, regardless of who's doing which. Don't get confused. God is going to ask you about how you have used this platform, the social media platform, or whatever platform that you have been given. It's not a blessing. It's a blessing if you use it right, but it's a burden if you use it wrong, and some of you are using it wrong. And I'm not here to make personal attacks. I'm here to really hope that just like you try to be loud, you also try to listen and reflect before it's too late. Assalamu alaikum.